You know, I don't want the cookie that bad.
You know what? I don't want this cookie. I just want to go to the beach.
Oh God. All right.
He's cute though. Built good.
Hey everyone,
Everyone.
and welcome to a little bit of a different kind of episode. We're actually talking about something that Lucas and I have in common, and
we didn't know about it until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I don't even know how it got brought up, to tell you the truth. I don't remember.
I don't remember either. If we have that footage. No, we don't have that footage. I was about to say if we have that footage, then flashback, but we don't. We weren't recording.
What's that? What are you doing?
I don't know. I thought you were about to say something.
No.
But yeah, so I can't remember how it was brought up, but then we started just, chit-chatting about To Catch a Predator, right? Mm-hmm. And you knew a whole hell of a lot about it, and it surprised me because I know a fair amount about it, but you know even more than I could have ever anticipated.
I'm a huge fan of that series. I mean, Chris Hansen's one of the best characters of all time, and a lot of the villains in the show too are great.
Yeah. So a little behind the scenes with how this show operates. If we happen to have a discussion before we start actually recording the real episode or after we record the real episode, if I think it's something that is interesting, then, we'll just record it and edit it and then throw that up. But for this, I was like, no. Not that our discussion was bad. It was, it was good. But I'm like, this deserves a spotlight, especially with, how educated we both are about this. So yeah, so we're going to talk about the many different iterations of To Catch a Predator today. And
we'll
just
see,
have
really
some fun with it, honestly.
It is funny. I'm glad that you're a fellow TCAP is what they call it on YouTube. The cool kids TCAP, To Catch Predator.
How about, I'm going to coin a new phrase, predophile.
That's what we are?
Yeah, that's what we are. We're a predophile.
I don't know. That just sounds bad. It still sounds, I'm not going with that one.
It sounds particularly bad.
But there's a huge following though on YouTube, obviously, because a lot of this where all the clips get dumped is on YouTube. There's a huge following of people who rank the predators, who, give their own commentary. Mr. Gigi is like, this guy got popular off of doing his Predator Chronicles series where he just talks about all the predators. And
seriously, I didn't know that. I've watched that guy before. No, I know who he is, but I didn't know that he ever talked about To Catch a Predator.
That's what made him popular, because I don't really care for anything he does now, but his TCAP stuff is great. So there's that.
Yeah, it's
pretty big. And there's some other ones like there's Joey's TCAP channel, I think it's called, and there's the Temple of TCAP. There's a forum, Temple of TCAP, as well. Pretty sure that's the name of that one too, where people just talk about, their favorite episodes, their favorite predator, kind of like what we're doing today.
Yeah,
there's a whole community about it, because really it's gained this cult following for two reasons. Number one, Chris Hansen is just hilarious with his zingers and the way he presents himself in the show.
Yes,
but also for the fact that it's a reality show that isn't, edited to be something that it's not, like the Kardashians, for example. Like, this is real TV, because you see their arrest records after, they go to prison after this.
Oh God. Yes.
So it's, and not only that, it's a good cause to get these creeps off the street. So it's just the unperfect storm, shall we say, of events. And it's a great show. So it's,
for anybody that might be watching this and think, dear God, Lucas is doing it again. He's aware that it's called a perfect storm when everything comes together because I told him. I think that this is like in jest now. Yes. So anybody that is like me out there that's like, what? Relax. It's a joke.
Yeah, so anyway, and anything else you want to say about TCAP before we talk about our predators?
Yes. So first off, before we get started, welcome to Waishlines to talk about a predator. What we saw here tonight surprised even our own Chris Hansen. Anyway, how many episodes started off like that? I swear to God, like, did Stone Phillips not have a different line to say?
It's a Dateline hidden camera investigation no parent will want to miss.
Come in.
This man could be your neighbor. He thinks he's at this house to have sex with a 14-year-old girl.
Sit at the counter. I gotta finish getting dressed.
Or did they just replay the same opening every single time?
His whole shtick is that he's made in stone. Stone Phillips. He does the same thing every time.
Anyway, I want to start off like this. So I remember my first experience with this show, but I want to know what was your first experience with this? Did you watch it when it was first on? I watched it on cable. Okay.
Yeah, I saw it on TV, like the second time when they actually got arrested, not the first go around, when it was Dateline investigation. So when it was actually To Catch a Predator, yeah. I mean, it was really, really big when it came out because it was around 2004, which is the start of, the internet being a mainstay in everybody's home. So yeah, about that time, it was huge.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how huge it was necessarily, but I watched it as well, probably roughly around that same time, and I would get so excited. It was my mom watching Dateline, and if they were doing To Catch a Predator, I was like, it's just this little kid.
It's cool to see them get arrested, right? But I didn't realize how hilarious. I mean, okay, the content isn't hilarious, but you guys understand what I'm saying when I say the show is funny.
But it is,
obviously,
it's entertaining. Okay,
as an adult, it's great. Obviously,
when it first came out, it was entertaining because it was funny, like you said, and I would always quote even though this isn't the exact quote, but it's how it stuck in my mind. Would you like some milk with those cookies?
Can I get you a glass of milk to go along with those cookies?
Sure.
That's not exactly what he says, but
he says, I'm pretty sure he says it just like that.
It's similar. I actually
would you like some milk to go along with those cookies?
It's something like that, but for some reason for years thought it was just, would you like some milk with those cookies? And that's exactly what he said as he entered the room. And I just thought that was so funny. I quoted that for years and years afterwards. So what initially attracted me to it was mostly just how funny it was, in all honesty. And then now what attracts me to it is obviously the funniness of it as well. But also, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I can just always sort of have on in the background and listen to it. Like if I'm doing something, as strange as this might sound, if I'm organizing like
Trust
my
me, it's not.
movie
I know where you're
shelf
going. It's not strange.
or doing anything like that that's like work that I, is sort of like mindless kind of work, I will have it on and I'll listen to it. And I don't know. It's something about it's kind of relaxing too. If you if you look in the comments, you'll also see a slew of people that are like, anybody else listen to this as they go to sleep? And it's just like, I don't know. It's just something that's kind of like relaxing about the fact that these terrible, terrible people are being, taken off the streets, basically. So that is all. It's all kind of it's interesting, but I in particular really gravitate towards the kind of wacky, zany predators as well. You know what? Let's start off with the really early ones that we briefly talked about before we even started recording, before it was even called To Catch a Predator, the ones where they did not have the police involved. And it's so weird to watch that now.
They're more tame. Obviously, I mean, they had to get a footing for what the show was going to be like, but obviously in Predator Raw, Chris Hansen thought he was going to be sitting around waiting, doing nothing. He said, "Oh, there's going to be footage of me waiting around doing nothing because these guys were going to show up," but they did. Yeah. So, the show turned out to be a massive hit. But there's a couple standouts from that episode. Everyone's favorite, I'll just say him first. John Canelli. He was the teacher school bus driver who later turned out to be unemployed.
You're going to tell me you've never done this before? No, sir.
The one who, you're naked, John. So, I mean, can you imagine the first episode, Chris Hansen doesn't know what he's getting himself into, and he interviews a naked guy just sitting there. Luckily, there's a towel rolled up on the right on top of the fridge.
I know. They must have put it there because obviously it was
about it in the
decoy
chat beforehand
that said get naked in the garage and come in, which somebody might say, well, that's entrapment, maybe, but also I wouldn't get naked. Like if I was a predator, I wouldn't. They could be like, get naked and come in, and I'd be like, no. you know, so you don't have to do it. It wasn't like they were like, you can't enter the house unless
even if you weren't
naked.
a predator. That's a really weird situation. I mean, I would really be second guessing a lot,
Yes. I don't know.
And it's not James Bond waking up to pussy galore. I'm definitely dreaming. That's not what it is, people. Wake up.
I must be dreaming. Yeah, he's a good one though. I really enjoy him because he's one of like two, I think, that fit into one very specific category of getting caught twice.
Said, I have been in television for 24 years. I just came to get something to eat. And
not only caught twice, but back-to-back days. And
I'm just here to get something to eat.
I'm just here to get something to eat. John. Yeah, that's he's a good one.
Cameras
he's a
off.
Good one.
Well, I can't, John, because their job is to record video and audio. Okay,
it's like
I
don't
can't.
Get tough with them. Yeah, that he's definitely one of my favorites. As crazy as it is, we talked about this. That it feels kind of weird.
This is my favorite predator. But
yeah,
yeah, he's definitely up there. John Canelli is a good one.
He is a good one, and so it's so weird though that they didn't align their investigation with the police, so they truly were able to just walk away. And in Predator Raw, Chris Hansen did mention that they forwarded all the information to the police, but most of these guys were never even contacted. So that is pretty crazy to me. that they were able to basically just get off scot-free at that point. I mean, they're forever online, I guess, for people to see.
Well, the one other standout predator from that initial episode is Rabbi David K. Okay. The one who's like going to meet the little boy, and he goes, well, he's a closeted gay Jewish guy. I mean, he's a rabbi. Yeah. And he comes in, he's trying to meet a little boy, and then he goes, or I think it's Dell. Hey, bro, you think you're gonna be down to be hanging out with your wife after we're done chilling? We'll say.
I gotta ask, you still gonna be up for tonight after seeing your girlfriend?
We'll see.
It's that.
Yes. Guy. Okay.
And
I have seen
and he's the one who goes like, "Get that camera out."
Yeah. Yep.
That guy.
You don't want to touch anybody.
You can't do this.
I swear, like if I ever, not that I'd ever be in this position, but if I ever walk into a house and I hear, I just hit my toe on the banister, bro.
Hey, bro, like, it's bleeding everywhere. I need to get a Band-Aid.
I'd be out of that house so fast, you know, and then they would tackle me. I'd be like, I wasn't doing it.
Oh my God. You know, the one investigation where they have the guy in the fucking ghillie suit popping out of nowhere.
Obliged officer.
Police on the ground! The arrest?
No, I've never seen that.
I think it's the one that Lorne Armstrong gets arrested in.
A ghillie suit is like you look like a tree walking around. Right?
Yeah.
Like the swamp.
It's to catch a predator, and there's the guy in a fucking ghillie suit pops out of nowhere with a bunch of other cops. It's hilarious.
That is really funny.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound familiar to me. I tried to even expand my horizons and watch even more in preparation for this, like even more than I had previously watched. But oh dang, I must have missed that one.
I thought that was a Predator. Oh, was it a Predator?
It is.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
you want to see? It's huge. Oh, dang. That's cool. Yeah. Like,
oh, wow.
Does it seem like these girls are turned on by you? The mental capacity of these people is absolutely fucking mind-blowing. I don't get it.
Some of them are really smart though, like, which is always kind of surprising to me as well. Like there was one guy, I can't remember his name, but as soon as he was caught, he was just like, he wasn't somebody that was like, I wasn't here for that. I wasn't going to have sex. Like he was fully honest in the fact he was like, yeah, that's what I was going to do. How fucked up is that?
Which
I must
one?
be
There's a couple.
We'll put a picture of him here.
You'll have to show me.
I'll find out. Yeah. I'll find out the specific one it is. But I kind of felt bad for him by the end of it in a weird way. Because he was so self-aware, you know, and Chris Hansen was like,
is he
Chris
the
Hansen
one in
started
Ohio
to feel bad too.
And
maybe.
Like their second sting?
It might have been the second sting.
Was his name Nick Bailey?
I don't know, maybe. It was still when the house was really weird, where you walked in and then there was the bar there.
Yes, that was in Ohio.
Okay, and Chris
was
Hansen
it the school teacher, James Rutherford? Because that's all that episode.
Don't know.
They admit.
We'll find out. But but Chris Hansen
probing that question.
Chris Hansen even started to like back down a little bit, and he was like, and during Predator Raw, he's like, it might feel necessary to feel bad for these guys, but you got to remember what they were putting in the chat, you know, like he had, you know, felt the need to throw it in there that he was kind of feeling bad.
And on that note, sometimes you do feel bad for him a little bit.
But before we continue to the next though, but this guy even went as far as to respond to Chris Hansen in a really interesting way, because Chris Hansen was like, well, look what you're doing here though, you're grooming her. And he was like, is that what grooming means? Is that what I was doing? Oh my God. And you could tell he just had like an epiphany in that moment.
You know, and not to ever defend these guys, but they're probably they are just lonely, horny people, and they made a stupid decision.
Yeah.
I'm not,
and
again, no defense of it, but
no defense.
I don't think
at all.
I don't think most of them, maybe less than half of them, are like actual pedophiles. I would say some of them, I think, were just trying to look for some quick thing. You know what I mean? And that was
and it's easy, you know, like you probably think like, well, I can convince this kid, you know, which again, no defense of them whatsoever. But I think sometimes when they do say it's my first time, and Chris Hansen goes, I hear that every time, you know, maybe it actually is. You never know. I mean, that's pretty great though. You catch them on their first time. Yeah. I mean, I sincerely hope that it is true in some cases, because you would pretty much scare them for the rest of their lives. But I know I'm just looking at my notes and there's like so many good things here. How about the guy? You probably know the name of him. The guy, again, this is somebody else who was caught twice, years apart. It was like first time was on To Catch a Predator, second time was on Hansen versus Predator. So it was a pretty big time span. But he walks up, he has like really big teeth, and Chris Hansen's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oops. Sorry. Yeah. And then when he gets caught for the second time, Chris Hansen walks in and goes, now you look familiar. And he goes, oops.
You know, you look familiar to me. Oops. Why don't you have a seat, please?
Yeah, the guy with the big teeth. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I love that guy.
Oops is right. See, the first time he says oops is right. Yeah. And then says it the second. Yeah. Oh, God.
It's so good. It's so good. There's so many characters, you know. It's I gotta be honest, like, kids, there's probably some stupid kids out there, naive kids, whatever. Just like adults, there's stupid adults, naive adults, whatever. I cannot picture, with the exception of like maybe a couple people, I can't picture these kids being attracted to any of these people and even wanting them to come into their house.
I've never understood that point of any of it, right? As if this 13-year-old girl doesn't want to be with some 13-year-old boy at school, you know, that she talks to every day or see, you know, none of it makes sense. How, and I guess it just points to the delusion, because normal people, and I'm just going to say this, like, there's this defense of pedophilia, they want to be called pedophiles, like they want to be called MAPs, minor attracted people. It's a whole thing. You can look into it. Okay. Where they try to like not normalize it, but they, you know, try to erase this stigma, and how they can, like, as long as they don't actually enact these, you know, fantasies, and it's fine. And it's still disgusting. And I don't have any defense for them.
Yeah. Also, you know, a message to the MAPs out there, I guess. I'm sending this to Los Angeles, because I'm sure that's where you're located. It's still illegal to have child pornography on your computer. So, you know.
Well, I mean, I think
that alone will land you in prison.
I think their idea is that, like, they do like role play, but of course, if you're that into it, then you're gonna go underground and find that content somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But they try to like lump it into this whole SJW culture of defending everybody that's like possibly of a minority status. So they take this map thing, and you know what I'm saying? Like, to be cool, to go against the grain, whatever the fuck you do on the internet these days.
There's
so I am going to say this. And I'm going to say this. It's not MAPs. It's not normal. It's not. There's not normal. You can't, there's no way around it. And I've said this before whenever I talk about TCAT. You know when we were attracted to 13-year-olds? when you're 13.
Yeah.
That's
or younger.
Yeah, or younger, whatever. But you don't, as a fully grown adult, a crusty old man, walk around Target and see some 12-year-old girl and be like, oh, she's cute. They're like, no, normal people don't do that. So
no, there is,
don't justify it.
People that we work with, even, and I'm not gonna like name names, but we work with some 18-year-olds, and even them, it's like I feel weird, not that any of them have any interest in me, don't get me wrong, but I just like I feel weird looking at them in that way, because they just seem so much younger to me,
Well, yeah, they're just fresh out of high school. They're still weird, they don't know anything,
and some of them look really, really young, and that makes it even weirder. And who looks even younger than these 18-year-olds that we work with? 13-year-olds,
actual 13-year-old girls.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do enjoy the few interrogations that they do sometimes show.
Intentions to be pleasurable and pleasurable
on YouTube, whether that was actually in the actual show or just something they released later, I don't know.
I have my three favorites for interrogations that I'll mention.
But the police are usually like, after they're done with the part of trying to act like they're your friend, and trying to get information out of you, they're always like, why were you trying to hang out with the 13-year-old? And they're like, oh, she seemed cool. And he's like, a 13-year-old seeming cool? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. What about a 13-year-old is cool? Like that's what the officer was saying, and I agree with it. He's like, there's nothing cool about them. A 13-year-old thinks they're cool, but not an adult, so
in fact, you're dumber for thinking that's cool. That's like the most uncool thing you could possibly do as an adult, ironically enough.
Yes, exactly.
And the interrogations is because these predators think that they're just going to get off, after the interrogation. So they just spill everything, no lawyer, and incriminate themselves much more than they needed to. They're pretty bad with it.
Even my favorite of all time, Jeff Sokol, which, for people that don't know, he's the guy that brought a pizza along with him. He's a pizza predator.
One of the few that have brought a pizza.
Yes, and then proceeded to eat it while talking to Chris Hansen.
I mean, every time I watch that episode, I get really hungry for pizza. Because
for sure, for sure, it
but
does.
The small was like basically the same price as like the large, so
it was like the same size.
Yeah.
See, I expected it to be like this, but it's bigger, All
right, let's just talk about. All right, Brandon, let's just talk about this contract, because
I'm just gonna be thinking about it all night.
Yeah,
that was me wiping my mouth, eating pizza,
like the whole night and stuff. What about that was? He's just so weird.
He is weird. That's why I like it. But his interrogation, I just watched it last night. I didn't even know he had one until last night. I mean, obviously I knew he had one. I didn't know it was filmed. And he immediately starts it off with going, well, I think I'm going to need to get a lawyer. And they're like, okay, you want a lawyer? You don't have to talk then. And he's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. But I wasn't there to have sex with her. And then he goes on for an hour and a half.
A lot of them do that.
Yeah. And I think it's like what you said. They think that they can, somewhere in their minds, they think that they can somehow talk their way out of it. And if they ask for a lawyer and they end up in a cell immediately, that they don't think they're going to be able to talk their way out of it. But they're never going to be able to talk their way out of it. You know?
First time, third time meeting, fifth time meeting, it would have happened. Because you meet the first time, it's going to happen. There's no reason to meet at all.
Even the few that were released eventually are found not guilty, they still weren't able to talk their way out of it. But before I end up potentially messing up a great subject of ours here, speaking of interrogations, what are some of your favorites?
I'll save my number one for number one, as if it's an actual countdown. But some of the ones that really stand out to me are the Jeff Stacy one is good because he goes on for quite a bit. And everyone knows who Jeff Stacy is. He's the one who talked like Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse Predator, yeah.
Yep. And there's one part of the interrogation where he goes, I don't even care anymore. I'm just going to kill myself. And then Chris Hansen says, he then proceeds to make a half-hearted attempt to stab himself. And it's like, I'm sorry, Chris, but I think that was a little uncalled for. Anyway, but the Jeff Stacy one's just because of his voice, he's always interesting.
Yeah.
There's two interrogations that are in Tennessee, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but it's with Dustin McFetridge. He's the one who he has, I think, cerebral palsy. He's Southern, he's got the crutches and he talked like this. Okay. And you can tell he always used his disability to get out of things as a kid, or probably his whole life, rather.
Okay. I don't know if I know who this one is.
So he's just talking to this woman. She's the exact same woman who interviews Jim Roush, actually. So she worked with two different departments because it's not the same episode. So that woman is interviewing that guy, the disabled guy. No, it's a man that interviews a disabled guy. It's a bald guy that I'm totally wrong.
Okay.
I'm totally wrong. So it's a bald guy interviewing Dustin McFetridge, but that's an interesting one because you can tell how he uses the disability. And then when he realizes that he's not going to go home, dig himself into a hole, but that's an interesting one. That same sting is a bald beaver hunter was the guy's username. And, he has a really good another really good one. Obviously the Jim Roush one is my favorite. Oh my God, too. There's so many. Who's the one other guy? He gets interviewed by the same woman that does the Jim Roush one, and he's like, I have a question. Will my sister be finding out about this? And will I be going to church on Sunday?
Oh my God, I don't know this.
God, I wish I remember his name. No, I don't think you're going to be going to church this Sunday.
She's like so like, and the best cops are like that too. I've taken some law enforcement classes.
She kind of the way she talks reminds me of Jodie Foster, and
a little bit, but she kind of puts up this front of being like, like very much of like sort of like a people person and very like naive and ignorant. Like, wait, I don't know about that. Could you explain that to me? Like that kind of thing. But she's really smart and is just obviously just a great police officer. Her and the other guy in the Jim Roush one. I mean, they're both like
that guy really annoyed me, to tell you the truth. The male detective in the Jim Roush interview.
They both kind of annoyed me too, but
was he playing the dumb cop? Because he was stupid.
They were both sort of playing the dumb cop. They were both sort of acting like, because there wasn't like a bad cop, good cop, or good cop, bad cop. They were both like good cops, They were both just sort of like, just like, well, like they're acting like they're buddies with each other, until obviously when they always interrogations eventually turn because they want to make sure that that they know what you did. They know, they know, they know you, whatever. So yeah, but they're just like shooting the shit, and then she leaves the room at one point, and then he just starts like talking to the guy about his like life and stuff, and like just starts talking about.
He's a total open book about everything.
It's so weird.
But the funniest thing about it is that he just talks circles around himself the whole time.
Yes.
Because here's the thing about the Jim Roush interview, guys. So he never got to the house, right? He got lost on the way to the house multiple times.
I did not know that.
There's an hour-long phone call of the decoy, not the one that's on set, but like a decoy of the police department,
like the one that actually does the calls,
calling, and then trying to get him there.
Yeah, still perverted justice, but
so he
a different
admits
person
multiple times that he was drunk before he left, that he was drinking before he left, that he needs to stop and piss multiple times, he says, because he's drunk. They're just letting this guy drive drunk all through the city in 2006 before GPS was standard. You know what I mean? Just to get this catch. And there's a part of me that
some really bad liability
set up
issues
a
there.
fucking roadblock or get somebody, an officer in the vicinity, to pull him over.
Just go find him. Yeah. Tell him to pull over.
He's telling you landmarks and what streets as he's driving.
Yeah.
Come on. So they end up doing a lot of things for the show that coax these guys. Like the Carl Conrad, was that his name?
56-year-old Louis William Conrad Jr. is a prosecutor in a neighboring county.
Whatever you'd like to do.
The guy that killed himself.
Oh, right as I was writing up on the board here today, waiting for you to come into the room, I was just listening to an interview with Chris Hansen about that guy. I don't know if that's his name.
Carl Conrad. I'm 100% sure that's not his name. It's close to that, but I think that's a actual YouTuber. So anyway, sorry, there's no slander. No slander here.
Yeah, that guy. I don't think I've ever watched the episode with him in it. So I don't know exactly how it went down. But judging by what Chris Hansen said, it sounded like they went to his house.
They did.
Okay.
The police went to his house, and then Chris Hansen, there's footage of him sitting outside waiting to talk to him. They're trying to get him out, and then he just kills himself.
Chris Hansen was like, some people say maybe we shouldn't have gone to his house. Maybe we should have waited for him to come to us, but that wouldn't have made a good episode. Like, he said that in the interview. He's like, doesn't it make it a better episode when we show up at his house? The police were already going to be there, so we decided to be there as well. Of course, I feel bad, but I don't feel responsible, So he killed himself inside. He shot himself.
Yes, it was inside.
Okay. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is, because I don't think he wanted to meet, or like he called it off or something, but they just kept coaxing him. You know what I mean?
That's really bad. I don't like that.
So they do have some, issues that come about here and there in their history.
This is actually makes for a really good transition about something I wanted to talk about as well, because I'm no professional when it comes to the law, but I don't understand the legal right. And anytime I talk about something like this, it sounds like I'm trying to defend the predators. I'm really not. I just want to know from somebody who's like a lawyer or a judge or somebody who knows obviously more than I do, or a cop. But what is the legal right for them to go to somebody's house like that? Or what is the legal right to arrest them when they don't even enter the sting house? You know what I mean? There was one person, or maybe even a couple, who start pulling up and then just drive away, and then they go after them and they're able to arrest them. And it's like,
the chat alone is enough.
Yeah, but how
literally legally it is enough.
The ones that get caught though, and they're like, well, I had second thoughts the whole way here. I thought, just turn around. And Chris Hansen goes, yeah, but you didn't. Those ones could actually say they did.
Yeah,
if you like, I had a second thoughts and I turned around, and then it's kind of like, I don't know, because one of the people that didn't even enter the house ended up getting like 7 years in prison.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so that was a little confusing to me as well, because some of the episodes will, it's not actually from Dateline NBC. It's people that just looked up the information and they add it to the end of the episode when they upload them, so you can see what they were charged with, or if they're still pending charges, or if the charges were dropped, or if they were arrested again at some point, so on and so forth. So you can see the the prison sentences or probation or whatever that were handed down to these people. And yeah, one guy, I think he was an African-American guy, 7 years. And I was just like, I don't even get that.
Is that the guy who's crying in the interrogation who goes, man, I don't want to go to prison? Is it that guy?
Maybe. I never saw his interrogation. So maybe. I only saw the episode where he just drives away and they go after him. And then they showed what prison time he got. And it was like, I think that's a little unnecessary, unless
I'll agree with you on that.
Unless this was like the third time that he has been caught or something. I think that's a little crazy. Or there's the ones as well that are just like, you know what, forget it, I'm going back home. And then they send out a police officer and fine them when they're on their way back home. Or the ones that actually go back home and they try to coax them back to the house. But if they won't come back to the house, they'll just go to them.
Can you pour me a drink and I'll be right back? Like 2 seconds, I promise. Wait, stop. Come on, don't you want to hang out in the hot tub?
No.
And it's like, in that instance, you really could say that you thought it was role playing. You have no proof. And you didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, technically, you know, sending photos to a minor or videos or trying to solicit a minor, that is all illegal. But you could get a lawyer and I think wiggle your way out of that one because you didn't show up, you know? Like,
you are a fast mover. Please have a seat right there.
A lot of these I get pleasure out of watching, and it's a lot of entertainment value. Those ones I don't get as much.
It's the cleanest, best pleasure.
That, oh my good God.
That would be probably the cleanest, best pleasure, I would say.
The cleanest, best pleasure.